his true form as a satanic leprechaun. For touching on mixed marriages in this movie.
Do you have to do that?
Of course I do. I'm Irish. That's how I manifest despair.
I am Irish. Leprechauns. If you had any kind of childhood in the early 2000s, then I'm sure you were a lot like me, glued to the good old CRT television, watching Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and of course,
Disney Channel.
And around this time every year, Disney Channel in particular would play the Disney original film, Luck of the Irish. Now, I personally remember watching this movie like a handful of times, maybe. However, the entire plot kind of missed me. It's all murky, to be honest. So I figured let's revisit this film and see if it still holds up nearly 25 years later. This video is really for you, Chow Fang. I hope I'm saying your name right, but here we go, buddy. We're doing another movie review. So grab some green beer and corned beef because without further ado, I'm your boy Peablar. Let's jump right in. Alrighty guys, so Luck of the Irish is a Disney original film that was made in 2001. The film is a sports film comedy with some Irish culture sprinkled through and through. I mean, that's what they're saying, but we'll see how much of that culture is just leprechaun stereotypes and shit, you know what I mean? The film is obviously made for St. Patrick's Day, so they debuted it a week before St. Patrick's Day, ultimately being on March 9th, 2001 on the Disney Channel. The film honestly got mixed reception, with some people saying that it was the strangest Disney film, while others accepted its moderate television success. And well, believe it or not, Disney actually did make a remake of this film in 2012 for their Indian Hindi-speaking viewers called Luck Luck Kai Bat. But today we're talking about the OG film that got it all started, so let's see what we got, buddy boy. Right off the bat, this opening scene is intense, dude. These people are staring straight into my soul. But then we're introduced to the main character, Kyle Johnson, who's narrating over these scenes. He goes on to explain how everyone is so different in regards to their heritage. And then we get a cut to a guy in a sombrero, and I was like, here we go, dude. 2001 Disney laying it on thick. But in all actuality, the high school that he's attending is actually having some sort of heritage event, or something like that, where everyone displays their cultures and their traditions of sorts. However, when Kyle is called onto stage, something strange happens.
Our next performer is Kyle Johnson. Kyle?
I said I'm down here! Can't you see me?
For some reason, Kyle is like 2 inches tall, and he goes on to explain how everyone has their own culture, but maybe he isn't that lucky. And with a name like Kyle Johnson, I'd be worried too, to be honest, bro. You sound white as dude. He keeps shouting, I'm down here, until ultimately the announcer squashes him, revealing that it was a dream all along. Maybe his dream is like some sort of analogy of him viewing himself small because he knows so little about his culture. Or maybe he's just a leprechaun, dude. I don't know. We're gonna find out though. But after waking up, we meet his parents. His mom wakes him up and lets him know, hey, you got the big game today. And then his father walks into the room. And after he wakes up, he tells his father that he had a weird dream. But his father assures him that, you know, it's just some sort of pre-game jitters or something along those lines. Seems like this whole culture thing has been eating away at Kyle though, because he asks his parents where they're from, and they give the sketchiest responses.
Where's our family from, Dad? We're from right here, son. No, I mean, where do we come from? You know, what's our heritage? We moved here from Cleveland.
We're Americans, Kyle. That's all the heritage we need.
I'd be on edge too, Kyle. I'd think that I was in the Truman Show or some shit, to be quite honest. But then Kyle is reminded to bring his lucky coin with him to school, and I got a feeling this coin is gonna be pretty mystical, brah, but we'll see. Kyle then sets the scene telling us that this is the first time ever that his basketball team made it to the playoffs. And not to toot his own horn, but apparently Kyle is a pretty lucky guy, and he knows it too, saying that pretty much the entire thing is owed to him. Like, he brought his team there, dude. He knows it.
And I was the reason why.
And with that being said, dude, why would you even care where you're from, dude? Things seem to be going so right for Kyle, man. I'm 15 and I'm worried about my heritage, and I'm Kyle. Nah. Like, dude, get a grip, bro. Kyle seems to be the popular kid, having tons of friends and even some of the ladies. We're then introduced to Bonnie, Kyle's friend for the time being. And she asks Kyle what he's doing for Heritage Day, as she's in charge of putting it all together. And Kyle just kind of brushes her off, and it's pretty apparent that, like I said, this has been eating him alive, or at the very least, he's pretty insecure about it, because ultimately he brushes her off, saying he's got to go take a test or something. And take a test he does. For some reason, he waits until the very end of the class and guesses on every single answer. Like, why not do this in the beginning of the class, bro? What are you doing? At least you could like look around, maybe. Guess maybe that's what he did. He looked around, he kind of like saw what people were doing. He got their answers and then boom, bang, bing. But nah, he actually just left it all up to chance. And it was so obvious that the teacher confronted him, saying that he can't rely on luck his whole life.
Remember, I subtract points for wrong answers.
Summer school.
I do it specifically to discourage what you just did, guessing at the answers. You know, in real life, you can't depend on luck to make up for not knowing.
But then he realizes that somehow Kyle got all of the answers correct. And with a smirk on his face, Kyle slithers away. If I was the teacher, I'd be like, whoa, dude, whoa, Buster. I'd be like, you're definitely cheating or some shit, bro. Like, detention, boom. What is going on at this school? We're then put at the dinner table of the Johnson household, and I love the sound effect that they use when the mom gives him a big ol' heaping of whatever the they're eating. It's like, what are we doing, bro? Kyle keeps driving home that nail, asking if the food is a family recipe or suggesting whether or not, you know, the family had athletes running in the genes. And Kyle's parents are getting weird as about it, dude. I don't understand why.
You better eat your salad. You don't want the oil to separate.
The oil separate? Kyle, I would question if you're like some sort of hybrid at this point, because your mom is sounding like an alien, dude. Kyle makes the point that Heritage Day is coming up and his family has to be from somewhere, assuming that they're not Native American, right? They can't be from America, dude. And the dad says that their grandfather moved from Buffalo. And here the alien mom goes again, asking why he's so interested in this all of a sudden, as if he didn't just explain his school and friends need to know the answer. His father kind of puts a kibosh on the whole conversation at this point, saying you're American and you could be whoever you want. Individuality.
Mom, I'm not obsessed. Being an individual is what America's all about, Kyle. Doesn't matter where you're from. You can be anything you want to be.
Fresh ground pepper?
And this greatly contrasts Bonnie's earlier statements that America is a melting pot full of immigrants at the end of the day, and our heritage is a major part of what makes us us.
America is a nation of immigrants, Kyle. Everybody's ancestors came from another country.
Yeah, I'm part Cherokee.
Two very different sides of a coin, if you ask me. It's the next day at this point, and Kyle is doing some investigative work in the computer room. And bro, these old Macs are so nostalgic, dude. I remember playing this really old M&M game on these back in the day. Apple needs to like remake this somehow, like make an iridescent MacBook or something. What are we doing, people? Let's bring it back. Bonnie comes into the computer room with the burn of the century.
If you're looking for sports trivia, try gofindalife.com.
Actually, I'm looking for information on my family.
And Kyle explains he's looking into his heritage, but I mean, if you're Googling Johnson, bro, you might as well just add another Johnson to the end of that and then add first aid cream, because Bonnie just roasted your ass, son. Sorry. Bonnie then tells Kyle he should probably talk to his parents instead of just Googling it. And for some reason, dude, he just doesn't want to tell her that he's been trying to get the answer out of them. Like, what are you doing, you little creep? Just stand up for yourself yourself, son. But then things take a strange turn. Kyle goes home and decides to go through his father's yearbook, finding out that his father's last name in fact is not Johnson, but rather Smith. His mother walks in on him and decides that it's best not to confront the situation head on for some reason. And who knows, it's starting to feel like a murder mystery at this point, so maybe. So Kyle's shooting hoops with his friend Russell, dude. I think that's his name. I'm not sure if the movie even like said his name yet. I had to Google it, to be honest. And you know, they're bouncing back and forth ideas as to why he would have changed his name potentially. Maybe, you know, the FBI put them into protective services, or he could be a hitman, or maybe there were hippies in an underground movement or something. I don't know. This is what the movie said, bro. This is in the script. And then Russell lays down some facts.
Yeah, or you know what? Maybe they're really aliens and they got stranded on Earth when their spaceship crashed.
I'm with you, bro. She is an alien. He knows, dude. While they're discussing this, Kyle is flaunting his hoop skills. Or luck, with that being said. Throwing it from behind his head and even touching the rim at one point.
You just touched the rim.
Russell explains to Kyle that he is in fact the luckiest man alive, and Kyle just brushes it off, you know, as he does. And Russell even suggests that maybe that coin around his neck has something to do with it. See, like I said, bro, Russell knows everything, and we're gonna find that out later in this film. Russell is a powerhouse of knowledge in this film. But again, Kyle kind of just brushes it off, and he's like, it's not the coin, it's whatever, dude. Both the boys then look across the street and notice a flyer for like some sort of family event at a fair or something. I don't know what it is. It says Seamus McTiernan, the Saint of Steps, family fun. It's some sort of like dancing Irish festival thing. You put the pieces together, okay? But on the flyer, the face of the sun appears to be the same graphic that is identical to the insignia that is on Kyle's coin. So Russell, once again being a powerhouse of knowledge, says that he thinks that this guy is Irish or something. He's seen him on TV before, and the pieces start to fall into place, brother. And so they both go to this Irish fair, and we also see some shots of like this creepy old dude. I'm sure he's gonna play a big role in the movie somehow, so I figured I'd mention it because I don't know, he's a major creep vibes, dude, from this guy. Beware. Creep alert. While walking around, they find a stand selling replica coin necklaces, and Kyle says, mine is solid gold, or some shit like that. And then there's this old guy who's apparently eavesdropping on the situation, on this conversation here, and he says, you can always tell the real thing from the old thing. Well, he says it in like an Irish accent. I can't even do one. Let me try. He's like, you can always tell the real thing from the old thing. I can't do an Irish accent, bro. I'm trying to think. Like, I don't even know. I'm not even gonna attempt it. Forget it. I guess, I guess this entire festival just has a bunch of old creepy guys. I don't know what the deal is. Then while he's talking to Kyle, he asks about his shoes and flaunts his own shoes, saying that they're made from Irish leather. And, he kind of shows the bottom of his foot, and there's this little snake emblem under there. Just keep note of that. And ultimately,
you can't put your feet up there.
Get the boys a bag of spuds.
Hey, how'd you...
And everyone's attention is on these coins as they perfectly stack upon one another, and the old man vanishes into thin air. Was he a leprechaun, dude? Was this a real leprechaun? What amazes me is that a bag of spuds, assuming that that's chips, I think, costs $1.50. For each of them, that's pretty cheap, dude. Nowadays, it's like $3, I feel like, for some chips. What's going on, dude? We need to go back to iridescent MacBooks and cheap chips. Anyway, then we're greeted by the one and only Seamus McTiernan, the leader of this Irish jig event, or like this dancing group. I'm not sure exactly who he leads, but he has like a little group of people, and he's hosting this event at this Irish festival. Everyone is so into this while they're doing this step dance. Even Kyle is fully enthralled at this point, seemingly losing control and dancing without a choice. And then he, boom, the song ends, Kyle falls on the floor, and that creep from earlier shows up once again, helping Kyle up off the floor and giving him a necklace. The next morning, Kyle wakes up and drops a trophy right onto his foot. I'm Kyle, and I'm worried about my heritage, and I hurt my foot. Get a life, bro. This kid. Then he walks downstairs and he's greeted by his mother making breakfast. But something is very different this time around, folks. Something is very off. She's wearing her hair all curly, all crazy. It looks like Disney Pixar Brave or something out here. She has a heavy Irish accent.
Is that bacon I smell?
It is. And I have a pair of hen's eggs frying for each of you.
Bacon and eggs? Isn't that a little heavy on the cholesterol?
And she wound up telling him straight up, spilling the beans, I am Irish. And you are Irish as well. Like, she's just saying like the heritage thing. She's laying it out on the table, bro. When he asks why all the secrecy, she states that when the Irish people initially migrated to America, things weren't always so pleasant and their people were faced with adversity. Kyle says that those times have changed and it's not like that anymore. And then she gives both Kyle and her father a big old plate of the full English breakfast or something along those lines. There's like blood sausage on the plate. They use the same sound effect that they used with the salad. I love it, dude. You know, you gotta get squishy with it sometimes, and they know that over at Disney Channel, apparently.
A lot of margarine on it, and then...
She also packed him some sort of like hoof for lunch, some hooves in a can with some like sauce. I don't even know, dude. She's lost it or something. Something must have happened at this point. And honestly, it's really, they don't really address it. Like, she just straight up says, I'm Irish. That's that. Off the table, ripping the Band-Aid off. No more secrecy. It's a little weird. It's a little weird, but whatever. And well, this wouldn't be the only odd thing to happen today because apparently this is Kyle's most unlucky day. He gets drenched by a passing car when he's going to pick up $1 off the floor on his way to school, which is like something that happens left and right in this movie. He keeps finding money on the floor for some reason. I guess he's just lucky guy. He's a lucky guy. He also lost his homework and spilled his papers on the floor, dude. He went to get a drink out of the water fountain and got water all over his pants and it looked like he pissed himself, and then he went to talk to a girl and then it looked like he pissed himself, dude. It was not good. He even got framed for a murder. No, not actually. That did not happen. But it's safe to say that the day was not going good for Kyle at all. And so we're placed in the basketball court and Kyle isn't doing too hot. And Russell tells all of his friends that he saw Kyle touch the rim the day prior. And so he attempts to do it and falls right on the floor and they all start laughing at him and shit. It's rough, dude. But apparently tonight is a big game night because if they win this game, they will make history and go to the championship, which is something that this team in this school has never done before. So in order to not burn themselves out, the coach decided that instead of them to go on a run like they typically would, they just have to make 10 foul shots and they're good to go. That's their practice for the night. And Kyle got a little bit cocky, tried to shoot from behind, or he tried to shoot and then like turn around and be like, yeah, that's right, mother. And he didn't get it. And as a matter of fact, he couldn't make a single shot. He was the last one there shooting, bro. And to add insult to injury, Bonnie decides to pull up and just lays it on thick, pretty much telling Kyle he would be a much better person if everything wasn't so easy for him. Going as far as to say that the entire team lucked their way into the championship because of him. And well, can you really even argue, Kyle? With the way that you've been performing tonight, are your skills anything other than luck? Let's be real, buddy. She then shoots a foul shot just to burn him once more and then dips. And like, Kyle is just getting wrecked out here for real, dude. It's rough. And so at the game, things don't go any better. He's flailing. He's absolutely getting wrecked. The crowd is booing him and ultimately the coach has to swap him out. And it's a good thing he did because their team did ultimately win that game. But, you know, Kyle felt like a piece of shit, dude. He was like, I suck, bro. And that was that. The most unlucky day of Kyle's life. Could things get any worse? Well, they could. Because the next morning, Kyle woke up and something was off. He seemingly got shorter. Additionally, his mother got even deeper into the Irish culture, starting like a campfire in their living room in order to make some smoky breakfast or something like that. And I mean, I feel like this is bordering on stereotypes, but we'll see where it goes. We'll see where it lands up. I mean, honestly, believing Irish people are lucky would be a stereotype. So like, what am I even talking about? The kid has been picking up money off the floor the entire movie. So anyway, anyway, Kyle heads to school and literally everyone hates him after his last performance last night. Sorry, bud, that's how it goes. You know, you're as good as your last move. So then we're in the lab at a science class and we're learning about magnets or some shit. And then boom, Russell's on fire, naming all 3 metals attracted to magnets. This dude is like as smart as ChatGPT, bro. Russell was ChatGPT in 2001, all right? Straight up. But anyway, Kyle picks up a magnet and it immediately gets attracted to his coin, and he starts freaking out, realizing that this in fact is no longer his lucky coin, which was made out of solid gold. Kyle frantically tries to call his mother, suspecting someone has stolen their family heirloom. And on his way to the phone, he falls on the floor, dropping all of his change. The payphone stops working, and then he takes off his hat, revealing that his hair has turned ginger, dude. So something's happening, and he's going through changes, bro. His ears begin to get pointy, and he's even shorter than at the beginning of the morning. A lot is happening, dude. There's a lot. I like reading all this off. A lot happens to this kid, bro. It's kind of traumatic. He also starts speaking in an Irish accent at some points. The dude is going through changes and he's turning into a leprechaun, unfortunately. I believe that that is the case. This could be a horror movie, to be honest. I don't know if there's ever been a horror movie about leprechauns. I'm sure there is, like an evil leprechaun movie. That just sounds right. It's gotta be. Let me know if it's a thing. So Kyle runs home and something is clearly very wrong. He opens the door to find his mother standing on the countertop while being only about a foot tall. And she tells him straight up, "I am a leprechaun." The father apparently is not a leprechaun, stating that he's from Cleveland. Like, dude, that is still not answering the question here. Where are you from? And honestly, why did you change your name, bro? Like, what is the deal, Mr. Johnson? What a weirdo, bro. This guy's weird. Anyway, he then says that there's nothing to worry about and it's probably some sort of weird allergic reaction to bad potatoes. Dude, your wife just said she's a leprechaun. Are you listening? She's a foot tall. Like, what are we doing? Are you saying it's like a leprechaun allergic reaction? Is that what it is? Is there like a leprechaunmd.com or something? They then tell Kyle that he too is part leprechaun because of this, and it shatters his world. And because of this, it shatters his world. His father explains that typically they can all remain normal size. However, putting the pieces together, Kyle realizes that all of this is due to his coin being stolen. The family is now out of luck, and that's what is throwing everything out of whack, dude. Kyle explains that he encountered an old man wearing leather shoes at the fair, and his mother asks him if there were snakes on the bottom of the soles. By confirming this, she realizes that this was Kyle's estranged grandfather who had come to steal the coin from him, dude. This is getting crazy. Apparently, he moved into the area because he owns a chip factory that just opened up or something, dude. That's why he bought them the bags of spuds. It's clear. The money's going right back into his wallet. It's money laundering. I would have thought that it was like the other creepy guy, to be honest, but apparently the shoe guy stole the necklace. But the family decides they're gonna go confront the old Grandpa O'Reilly themselves. This shot in front of the door here, it kind of tripped me out for a second because this looks like my house. I was like, is this my house, dude? Did they film this in my house? But anyway, they go to this chip factory and Kyle asks his father, hey, if my grandfather works right down the street, why have I never seen him before? And his father explains that he is not a leprechaun and, well, leprechauns don't believe in mixed marriages. Like, that's crazy. We're touching on mixed marriages in this movie. And then he goes on to say that leprechauns are small-minded. Some casual leprechaun racism out here, bro. Really? Disney, that's what we're doing? Eventually, the security guard at the building tells whoever he's on the phone with that he's gonna deal with the situation, and then he tells Mr. Johnson and Kyle that Mr. O'Reilly claims he never had a daughter. Like, what, dude? Do we need to go on Jerry Springer with this leprechaun family or what? Mr. Johnson says that he ain't leaving the building until he sees him, and while the security guard somehow throws both of them out of the factory at once. Protein, bro. You gotta eat those spuds for them gains. Am I right? Kyle sees that a school bus of kids are unloading across the street, getting ready for a tour of the factory, so he decides that it'd be smart for him to slip right on in there. And with that being said, the security guard should be fired. Alright? He just gets right in the building, no problem. So at this point, they're in the middle of the tour, and Kyle asks the tour guide if they're going to see Mr. O'Reilly at any point. And the tour guide says no. But I'm confused at this scene because for some reason Bonnie is in front of Kyle looking all concerned. And like, I don't understand. This is his school going on this field trip. There's your in, bud. Like, what are we doing here? He essentially ditched school to go home, plan with his parents to go to the factory, when in all actuality he could just stayed in school and just wound up in the factory in the first place. Whatever, dude.
What are you doing here? Shh. You're not a young achiever.
I have to talk to Mr. O'Reilly.
Why?
Remember how I told you my coin was stolen? Well, I think he's the one that took it.
He's like a millionaire. Why would he steal your coin?
Because he's my grandfather.
All right, wait. Apparently, he's a part of the Young Achievers group or whatever, so he wasn't allowed on the tour anyway. All right, it makes sense. Additionally, the security guard is onto Kyle, so maybe don't fire him just yet, dude.
I think we have intruders.
Yeah, that was wild. Kyle assaulted someone, committed Grand Theft Auto, and then like definitely some property damage and stuff. Fell into a spud hopper, falling right into the feet of his evil leprechaun grandfather. Where is this movie going? Bonnie also followed right after him. Like, what if there was like a huge rotating blade at the end of that tunnel, you know, to cut potatoes and shit? I guess Bonnie's a ride or die at the end of the day. But for some reason, his grandfather, obsessed with shoes, suggests that he needs to make a pair for himself or something. And I don't even get it. Kyle wasn't allowed in the building, and now his grandfather is just gingerly showing him around the factory, telling him to relax in his office. Like, what is the deal, dude? There aren't even any security guards in sight with them, so it's all like chill. They're on a chill vibe now, seemingly. But after discussing things with his grandfather, Mr. O'Reilly claims that he does not have the coin. In fact, his grandfather even notices some changes in his own face, saying that he too is turning back into his leprechaun form. And his grandfather takes the news of the lost coin pretty bad, getting really angry and mad and saying that the business will be put to ruins, all because of this. And well, this happens.
Do you have to do that?
Of course I do. I'm Irish. That's how I manifest despair.
Laying it on thick, Disney. Laying it on thick, bud. Kyle says that he should go to Seamus and see if maybe he caught someone stealing things at his event, and his grandfather flips out, dude. He's like, I don't know why he's surprised at the fact that he was at this event, because that's where you met Kyle, bro. Like, that's the only common denominator in this. No duh, he was at Seamus's event. You moron, you were there too, dude. Like, what the flip? So they all head back to the car and head off to Seamus to find the stolen coin. They also pick up Russell on the way, dude. So it's a full squad pulling up to the event. And so they pull up to the fair and find Seamus's RV, and Mr. Johnson decides he's gonna go figure this out himself. As he's leaving, Mr. O'Reilly tells him that if things get a little tricky, to make Seamus a bet, because apparently he loves to gamble. So he jumps onto the windshield of the RV and notices a big old pot of gold, only to be met by Seamus, who grabs the steering wheel and violently drives away. And off they go, chasing the RV down the road. Ultimately, they have a blowout and they're stranded, period, bro. Kyle is put in a tough spot at this point, realizing he's turning into a leprechaun. He won't make it to the basketball game either, and it starts pouring rain, dude. It's just a shit show left and right. At his lowest point, Bonnie decides to give the family a pep talk about how everyone has bad luck and you have to persevere, and how the Irish people have faced adversity before and overcame it. And then Disney drops this little truth bomb.
Things were tough, and they had to work at jobs other people wouldn't take, and they didn't get paid what they deserved.
Well, at least they got paid.
The important thing is,
We all know Mr. Johnson was like, damn, dude. Like, for real. For real. But ultimately, she makes the point, at the end of the day, regardless of your luck, as an American, we need to keep moving forward and keep fighting on. So the rain lets up as soon as she stops her speech, and the family comes up with a game plan on how they're gonna get out of there. Kyle and Mr. O'Reilly happen to see a rainbow form after the storm, and Kyle jokingly says maybe there'll be a pot of gold at the end of it. But Grandpa just rabidly starts running towards it as if there's actually going to be some precious gold. so Kyle and Russell follow behind. They run for a little bit until they ultimately stop from exhaustion, and Russell, my man, drops another truth bomb stating that there's no end of a rainbow, it's just light refractions in the cloud. But just then, Kyle notices Seamus's RV parked at a restaurant. Everything propelling this movie just seems like happenstance. Is it just me? Like, the grandfather's like, I'm gonna find a pot of gold, yay! There we go, dude. That was an Irish accent. But he's like, I'm gonna find a pot of gold. He's like just running and they just happen to find this RV and then they just drop the pot of gold idea. And like, I don't know, there's loose ends in this movie we will touch at the end of this video, but whatever. Maybe it's just the luck of the Irish. You never know, right, dude? So they run up to the window and they see Seamus and his boys chowing down on some good old corned beef sandwiches. And so Kyle and the group sneak into his RV. Well, actually, it's not even the whole group. It's just Kyle and Mr. O'Reilly. They sneak into the RV while the rest of Seamus's crew is distracted inside. And they find a safe, but it's locked, dude. But apparently this isn't a problem for Grandpa because apparently leprechauns can just open safes or something. I don't know, dude. Leprechaun magic. So Kyle immediately knows which coin is his and he grabs it, saying that there's this indescribable feeling of certainty. However, Grandpa isn't too sure. Or maybe he's just a little bit greedy because he wants to take the entire box of gold. And I mean, can you really fault him? Like, who wouldn't, right? I would take it, to be honest. Seamus probably stole the whole thing, so who cares? Just take the whole thing and call the cops or whatever, you know? Figure it out if you want to be like a good guy, I guess, or whatever. Or you just keep it for yourself. But Kyle wants to stand on higher ground and leave it. Regardless, Seamus's leprechaun senses were tingling because he could tell something was afoot while they were munching on corned beef sandwiches inside. And speaking of corned beef sandwiches, they're eating them on hoagie rolls and like there's all like this like stuff on it. Anytime I've had a corned beef sandwich is on rye bread with mustard. Am I tripping or is that like a corned beef sandwich? Let me know. They continue to argue in the RV whether or not to leave it until finally Kyle says that they didn't come to America to steal, but rather to work hard and make something of themselves. And hearing Kyle include himself in the leprechaun family won Mr. O'Reilly over. So Kyle put his coin on and immediately his ears go back to normal and he grows taller. Grandpa's beard starts to shrink again, and out of nowhere, there's a huge tornado of gold coins erupting in the RV. And then Seamus's spirit comes out of this tornado, dude, and it grabs Mr. O'Reilly, pulling him into some sort of interdimensional leprechaun portal, leaving Kyle alone and scared in this RV. Kyle runs out of the RV only to be met by Seamus immediately. He's like right there. Somehow he like teleported him right through or something. This is like creepy shit, bro. You do not want to fuck with leprechauns, okay? That's what I've learned from watching this movie. He's right there and he's got Mr. O'Reilly by the beard. And Seamus's people also have Russell in their possession, and things are not looking good, dude. Seamus demands the coin around Kyle's neck, and I'm thinking, why do you even need this coin in particular? You know what I mean? You got a whole damn box full of them, bro. Come on. But then Kyle decides in the moment of urgency that he is going to make a bet with Seamus. He bet against Seamus that he could beat him in some sort of sport competition. And, well, Seamus took him up on that. If he wins, he gets to keep the coin in Grandpa. But if he loses, well, it's over, dude. And with that being said, Seamus took him up on the offer. Kyle and Russell were teleported into a grassy plain at night, wearing a bunch of plaid apparel, and apparently they're going to be playing hurling, which is supposedly the oldest field sport still in existence, which is pretty cool. It's an Irish sport. You hit a stick, you hit a rock with a stick. It's kind of like, it looks interesting, it looks cool, it looks kind of crazy. But they do a bunch of other stuff too, like throwing stones, throwing spears, hurling wheels, all this random stuff. While Kyle and Seamus are wrestling, Seamus lets Kyle know that he needs the coin because he wants to take all of the power away from all the leprechauns and become the king of the leprechauns.
Do you know why I want that coin?
Does it have anything to do with greed?
It's power. Power, boy. When I'm after taking the luck from every leprechaun in America, it's idle have power over the lot of you.
Sounds like a like a lunatic to me, if you to be quite honest, all right? He's wrestling like a child on the floor to become a king. What? So then finally, they do the Irish step dance, which if I was Kyle, I'd be like, bro, you have a whole career based on this. Really? You're gonna make me fight you in this? Really? Kyle starts to breakdance, and somehow he gets the point. He beats Sheamus in his own game, but ultimately that just ties up the score, and they're just tied. So Sheamus begins to demand the coin back because the initial bet was that he had to win. And that's what you get for betting against a rabid gambler, bud. You gotta learn. But Kyle has nothing left to lose, so he makes one more bet. Double or nothing, bro. That he, without luck, could beat Sheamus in some b-ball. And if so, Sheamus would also have to live in the land of his father forever. And Sheamus takes him up on this offer, and boom, they're teleported back into their final game, basketball game at the school, dude. They're back at the school. It's crazy how it all comes around. And somehow this school is allowing an adult to play a junior high basketball game, but whatever, don't ask questions, right?
Isn't he a little old for junior high?
Let's just play ball, boys.
It is what it ain't. So Sheamus is wrecking these kids. There's no other way to put it, dude. He's playing dirty, and he begins to take a lead. And for some reason, Grandpa at this point gives Russell a special little coin that only works if he holds onto it. So I don't know if this is going to be some sort of placebo coin or whatever, but this old guy is losing me, bro. Why wouldn't you have given him this coin when they were playing in the field at night? When they were playing all these like Irish games or whatever. Regardless, Russell, with the coin, makes a layup and tells Kyle that he's got this coin now. So Kyle decides to confront his grandfather, asking him why he'd give him a coin knowing that it was a replica coin. And Mr. O'Reilly says it's all about the confidence it gives him because Russell always had the ability inside of him. When Kyle hears this, he takes it to heart and says, you know what? That's true, Grandpa. I got the luck of the Irish inside of me as well. So let's shred this shit. And he goes hard, destroying Sheamus left and right, and Kyle ties up the game. There's only 5 seconds left in the clock, and Sheamus lifts his head up off the floor, showing a distorted face, now appearing in his true form as a satanic leprechaun. And he charges at Kyle, dude. Kyle then passes the ball to Russell, who takes the ball and seals the deal, ending the game, dude. For some reason, once the game's over, though, Sheamus seems really chill, as if he has a plan or something. He's like, "Oh, I'm not going anywhere, bro. We're chilling." I think he thought he was gonna go live in Ireland, which would mean that he could still be the king of the leprechauns because, you know, he's living there or whatever, I guess. I don't know what logic that makes, but whatever. But Kyle tells him that his father is from Cleveland, and this triggers something, and Sheamus starts to shrink down to leprechaun size, okay? And then he's teleported out. And with Sheamus gone, everything was at peace. The family has their lucky coin once again. Grandpa is safe, and the family's relationship has been restored. Finally, we see Kyle doing the step dance on stage at Heritage Day, and he claims that he's a proud Irish and that Americans come from everywhere. And finally, him and Bonnie sing, "This land is our land," and everyone in the auditorium stands up and sings. And that's it, folks. That's the end of the movie. At the end of the day, Kyle realized that he didn't need the coin because he had the luck inside of him all along. And I feel like that's the message it's trying to convey, but at the same time, he kind of did need the coin because as soon as he lost it, all of these adverse reactions were happening. So, you know, do with that what you will. But for those saying that this film has all these Irish stereotypes and it's a weird film, I mean, come on, bro. It's a kid's film about leprechauns. Let's not get crazy here. This film obviously has some comical bits, and some jokes may not have held up super well in today's day and age. However, overall, I think the overarching message of perseverance, overcoming adversity, and being proud of where you came from is super applicable in today's times. Overall, I thought the film was honestly pretty great. It was like, I'm glad I watched it again and I got to stroll down memory lane. There were a few loopholes, like why was his father's name changed? I don't know. If you know, maybe I missed it, because I'm squeezing this video out in like a single day, bro. The idea came to me like literally this morning, and I'm filming it. But I feel like that was never answered, and there's a few other things, like why was his grandfather at Seamus's event if Seamus is a piece of shit? You know what I mean? There's some holes in the story, but overall, I thought it was pretty good. And, you know, that's pretty much it, guys. What did you think of all this? Do you remember watching this movie as a kid? What were your favorite parts of the movie? What do you think about St. Patrick's Day? Are you looking forward to eating some corned beef? Comment down below and let me know, guys. Additionally, if you enjoyed this video and you have suggestions for some other movies you'd like me to review and deconstruct, let me know down below. But that's pretty much it, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and maybe even subscribe. It'd mean the world to me, and I'd love to have you as a part of the Peablar army. I'm posting once a week, so get in the loop and make it a part of your weekly schedule, buddy boy. But with that being said, guys, I am your boy Peablar. It's been real, and until next time, be well and peace.